If you can't already tell from the length of the video, this update is massive. It's the biggest update Jujutsu Shenanigans has ever had, if I'm not misremembering, and it's also the best. It adds 3 new moves, reworks another, does a whole lot of other balance changes, removes a tech, and so much more that I'll explain later. Before we discuss the update though, make sure to subscribe for more informational JJS content. Now, let's get into the video. Mahito has a second awakening. Mahito's first awakening has a new move called Force Grab. Mahito's awakening animation has sound and destruction now. 4 new emotes, Side Pot, Stomp, Here You Go, and Boombox were added. There's a control center in a train station with a microphone and a train. There's a short guide for newer users explaining basic mechanics. Bullet dummies and the clear all dummies option were added back to private servers. Auto Transfiguration was reworked. Yuji's Black Flash doesn't ragdoll or go on cooldown if you hit the enemy's back. Hakari's Fever now reduces skill cooldowns by 0.6 seconds. Fever now increases the distance traveled by moves. Mahito's Domain Bar now keeps going even if the user is stunned. Takedown has reduced cooldown if landed. Adaptation has a reduced cooldown. Curse strikes cannot be aimed anymore. You can charge a throw strength on the basketball emote. Auto run is now defaulted on newer players. Network usage for destruction was optimized. People slow down on low health. Hakari's domain has a new voice. Divine dogs no longer track targets if they're blocking or far away. The amount of worms spawned by Mahito's awakening was reduced. Max Elephant is now a cursor spawn rather than an auto lock-on. Bursted players don't count for burst progress anymore. You can swap between base and awakening of Mahito by pressing G. The dash tech was removed. Finally, a bunch of bug fixes, which I'll put on screen, were made. First, let's talk about the reworks to Auto Transfiguration. Functionally, the main 2 things that changed is that you no longer get knocked back and take self-damage on the first hit, and hitting someone no longer takes a move away from them. The first change is a huge survivability increase for Mahito, because he doesn't take the self-damage that would reduce his HP and make it easier to kill him, or in some cases, make the move actually kill him when landed. He still gets to retain the distance creation of the move, since it still knocks back, but it just knocks the target away, and not Mahito, so no negatives there either. As for no longer removing a move, it's a nerf, but a fair one in my opinion. With all of the stuff Mahito has now, getting to take away a move from an opponent would be way too much. Otherwise, everything is the same, except for the newly added Black Flash thing that lets him access his Super Awakening, which I'll talk about after this. By using Auto Transfiguration and pressing the move again, about a second before you hit someone, you instead do a Black Flash. Do this one more time for a total of 2 times, and you can then press G to go into your true form, healing you and giving you a completely new moveset. This awakening activation is actually pretty well balanced. It forces you to choose between a short-term benefit and getting a kill with your Auto Transfiguration, which will probably be the more preferred choice in ranked, or going for a long-term benefit, and probably a more fun one, in entering your awakening. I think it's a fair enough conditional to try and get, and it's actually more of a trade-off than anything else. Either you get yourself a kill, or you enter your mode that makes it really easy to get a kill. It's a good design choice in my opinion, since it means you can't get your mode completely for free, since landing 2 Auto Transfigurations is, or was since the update kinda changes that, kind of hard. Proper trade-off, and a properly difficult conditional for what is going to become Terminator mode soon. As for Focus Grab, this move is just flat out broken for 1v1s. It's a practically unavoidable grab that not only sets you up for so many things, but also does a bunch of damage. The way it works is that it grabs whoever you hover your cursor on, and then by pressing the move again, you can slam them into the ground, doing relatively low damage each time that adds up to a huge amount of damage. The cooldown of the move isn't too long, so you can get a lot of free damage with it over the course of your awakening, and by pressing R, you can throw whoever you grabbed away, something that if done into a wall, sets you up for pretty much all of Mahito's moves, whether that be Domain Expansion or Auto Transfiguration. It is a free combo starter, and it's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. The one weakness of the move is that if you're fighting multiple people, it isn't great, since it can easily be interrupted by teamers, which cancels the grab. But still, in any 1v1 scenario, this move is just free damage and a free combo for Mahito. I might be missing some counterplay that isn't interrupt the extremely short startup that realistically is not getting interrupted if the Mahito user doesn't have a huge lapse in their judgment, but yeah, I don't see how to deal with this thing. In my opinion, it's the strongest 1v1 move in the entire game, and it completely fixes Mahito's neutral. However, he gets even more, which is the next change to talk about, his ability to switch between Awakening and Base. As for the change that lets Mahito switch to his Awakening and Base movesets while awakened, this is kind of crazy, and here's why. Mahito's problem in his awakening was that his neutral was garbage. He had nothing but Drill Splitter to help him kind of start combos, so he was basically limited to M1s. Now, this is fixed by Focus Grab, which turns his neutral from being bad into a nightmare to fight. This change, however, makes his neutral even better if you're willing to sacrifice some awakening, because he now has access to regular stockpile, aerial stockpile, soul fire, black flash and chain whip, and body repel, which is the big one here. When it comes to grabbing himself a ragdoll to land Idle Transfiguration, or domain expansion, or any of his one-shot conditionals, none of those are all too hard to land, with aerial stockpile and body repel notably being really easy to land, but also giving you a free ragdoll if you use them right. A ragdoll that you can capitalize on with Idle Transfiguration. In a nutshell, what I'm saying is that Mahito, whose neutral was already fixed with Focus Grab, is getting even more of a fix with this gimmick. It does make his ultimate a bit more consistent, so that he isn't screwed over if all of his awakening moves are put on cooldown, but like, that's kind of how it is for everyone except Sukuna, whose ranged M1s still keep him oppressive. I'm not going to call it broken, because it's way too early to make any conclusive statements about it, since the update just came out, but that neutral paired with one-shot conditionals might get really annoying. I can't speak anything for sure yet, but I'm interested to see how this update changes things as time goes on. As for the true form, which is the main thing that got added to the update, it's pretty interesting. First, the dash passive. Mahito's dash gets converted into a rush forward, and if you hit someone, you do a bunch of slashes on them. This is actually really good in some cases, because it combo starts, and it can also hit ragdoll, though the slashes won't hit them till they get off the ground. It is blockable from all sides, but there doesn't seem to be block stun, meaning that if someone blocks it, you can keep M1ing them, and they'll have to block that M1 before unblocking to try and M1 trade you. However, if you missed a move, man, is there a lot of stun. It's like that old Toad stun when it was bugged, where you'd get stunned for like 3 seconds. It's basically impossible to not get punished if you miss, though with the exception of public server debris screwing stuff up, you should be able to hit it consistently. It's pretty good. Now to discuss the first move in Mahito's true form, I just have to say it looks insanely good. It's in my opinion the best looking move in the entire game so far, and it'll be played in the background footage right now, but seriously this looks amazing. Well done to Z and any contributors who worked on this. Putting that aside, the move honestly isn't great. It has too much startup to be comboed into, which is fair because of the high damage, but actually hitting it, while not too hard and completely flat land, is basically impossible in public servers. The reason why is that this move tends to get caught on debris really easily, making it impossible for you to move around while your target can dash around to their heart's content. Actually, Mahito's true form just in general struggles with public server destruction, but this move in particular has a huge problem of just getting constantly stuck on blocks and being unable to catch people. Even if you aren't getting stopped by blocks, it's not that hard to dodge it like a Hollow Purple, and I just don't see any easy way to land it. Maybe there shouldn't be an easy way to land it, and the move can't hurt you at least, but the move's definitely not as good as its cutscene is. Either that, or I'm missing something. To be fair, the damage is huge. It's like Hollow Purple and Mahoraga World slash damage, so having it be hard to hit isn't necessarily wrong. Let me know what you all think in the comments. As for Mahito's second true form move, this thing is kind of a scrub killer, as in it sucks against people who know to counterplay, and it's gaudy against people who don't know to counterplay. It's basically takedown with a much smaller hitbox and a non-existent startup. Now, that sounds great at first. The move's near instant, so theoretically you just can't react, and the Mahito's grabbing you every time. The problem is a smaller hitbox. If you just jump and run in any direction, the move won't hit, so you can really easily just become immune to it by running. Speaking of running, Mahito's true form drains really quick, and with how it works, it's not hard to stall out at all. Which is kind of interesting because it seems like it's designed to be made up of speed blitz moves. You can still combo into it though, so if you get yourself an M1, you can use a move and there's nothing it can do. It's decent, you'll land it 99% of the time, but it's really easy to counter if you know how. It's just not a counterplay that's immediately obvious. Moving on to the dash tech removal, man am I glad this happened. I'm sure a lot of JJS sweats who relied on it to win fights are probably pissed off at Z for this, but screw them. The dash tech was such a boring thing to deal with that solely existed so that sweats squeeze out more damage from their combos. There wasn't much skill in it, besides learning how to do it, which isn't hard, and then tracking your dash uses so that you knew when you could actually pull it off, which people could just get around by using a combo extending move so that their dashes were back. And all in all, it was a brain dead tech that serves no purpose besides letting sweats get more damage. It wasn't really fun, there were no shenanigans with it, unlike some other techs that make some really cool looking combos, or let you do some hilarious stuff like flying into domains with Nue. No, It was just brain-dead BS that let people drag out their combos for longer and get more damage. In a nutshell, what I'm saying is that it wasn't fun at all, but was also mandated if you wanted to sweat in JJS for whatever reason. And while there probably will be someone who finds a third dash tech and starts abusing that, I'm just glad Z's removing the tech from the game that exists right now because it was dumb. I won't speak for long on Mahito's domain getting buffed back, besides saying it was a good decision. I made an entire video explaining why Mahito's domain became the worst after the nerf, but simply put, it could easily be negated by just doing a basic combo on a user and keeping them stun locked so that they couldn't do anything. If I'm really going to nitpick, and increasing the internal size of the domain so that people could have more room to run away might make it a bit more balanced, while still keeping it as a guaranteed kill domain. That's kind of fun for both people, but look, that's just a small thing, and also my opinion. The way Mahito's domain now functions well, and kudos to Z for listening to the community and bringing it back to how it was. Yuji's cursed strikes no longer being aimable is a pretty huge nerf to Yuji's neutral. In the past, the move could be aimed, and with the big hitbox it had by default, it was impossible to dodge, making the only counterplay blocking. With this nerf, you can actually sort of dodge a move if the Yuji is really bad and uses it raw while facing it away from you or something. It's not going to have a huge impact, since you can still turn the move during the startup, so you really shouldn't be missing it. It just makes the move a little bit less brain dead. Hakari's Awakening R special change makes sense. Disregarding the cooldown decrease, which is just a straight buff, going up from 0.35 seconds to 0.6, the distance thing was added because when the special made your moves faster, it also decreased the duration. This meant that if you hit a certain point, your Overwhelming Luck or Lucky Rushdown would only travel like 3 steps, which kinda sucked because Fever was supposed to buff you. Now, Fever is just a straight buff, and stacking it up to a ridiculous level won't hurt you at all. The Yuji Black Flash thing is sweat stuff. It's mostly for show, but you can definitely get some extra damage by landing one Black Flash on their back after a side dash. You can't follow the Black Flash up with anything but Black Flash, so there's no extending or using Crushing Blow, which is fair. Most people after you hit them once will turn their back around and kill your chain, so you won't be chaining 4 Black Flashes most likely. However, it's still a fun gimmick, and for Shenanigans, it's cool. The new player guide was hard to find. You find it by going to settings and scrolling all the way down, and it is sort of helpful. Some more basic stuff like M1s aren't really explained all too well, but advanced mechanics are explained. So while it isn't necessarily a full beginner's guide to someone blind to Battleground games, it is good for helping someone new to JJS specifically transition. For example, a TSB sweat. My only complaint is that it's kind of hard to find, and I doubt the new player is opening up settings and scrolling all the way down so that they can stumble on a guide. There should be a pop-up if it legitimately is your first time playing, asking you if you want to see the guide or something. Other than that, it's cool. Mahoraga's buffs are good. Adaptation is actually a viable move now, because you can reach max adaptation really quick, and the cooldown is short enough that if you need to switch in a pinch, you can do that too. Takedown is also more viable now, maybe too viable, since the cooldown is short enough that you can spam it. That might be a bit of a problem since the move's kind of a last-ditch get your awakening back thing, but we'll have to wait and see. It makes the move actually more of a side grade to World Slash and not a downgrade, and that's good. Finally, the fun stuff added is, well, fun. The train's goofy, basketball being able to be thrown further is funny, just good stuff overall without much more to talk about. Overall, this update is great. It adds in so much new content, makes Mahito actually feel like an awakening, and so much more. Z definitely took his time with making the update to make it as good as possible, and you can see that in how high quality the update is. It's proof that rushing him to get an update out of the oven isn't a good thing, and that letting him take his time actually lets him make cool stuff like this. Anyways, that's all I have to say. If you enjoyed watching the video, make sure to subscribe for even more JJS content. I'm Noob Eternally, hope you have a good day, and bye.